Welcome back. We want to know how much the monopolist is going to produce and how much profit it's going to earn in the case of this demand schedule. And the way we got there was first by calculating total revenue, which is just price times quantity. So for example, when we're producing one at a price of $10, our total revenue is $10. When we're producing 5 at a price of $2, our total revenue is $10. We can calculate the marginal revenue by just getting the additional amount. So as we go from 10 to 16, I should say, we have a marginal revenue of $6. Marginal revenue eventually becomes negative. And we also calculate marginal cost. Marginal cost we just get from that additional cost. So as we go from 1 units to 2 units and total cost goes from 2 to 4, our marginal cost is $2, an increase in cost by 2, that additional cost of 2. So we want to know how much the monopolist should produce. And remember, we have a pricing rule, which is produce until marginal benefit equals marginal cost. In this case, the marginal benefit is marginal revenue. So produce until marginal revenue equals marginal cost, and that's where $2 equals $2, earning a profit of $12. Now, one thing you might notice is that you can also earn a profit of $12 when you only produce 2 units instead of 3. Why do you produce 3 units? And the reason is we don't know all these things in advance. We don't have a perfect demand schedule. But we do know that when we're producing 2 units, when we get to that second unit, our marginal revenue exceeds our marginal cost, which means we can produce more. Let's see this marginal revenue equals marginal cost rule graphically. A monopolist maximizes profits by producing output where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. We have our marginal cost curve here. We have our marginal revenue curve here. So let's see what happens when they're equal. And that's at 1,000 units, where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. The monopolist is going to set the profit maximizing quantity, and the market demand curve determines that price. That price in this case is $50. The price is determined by the demand curve, which remember is just the willingness to pay of consumers at that quantity. So, is the monopolist earning a profit in this case? Keep in mind that a monopolist doesn't always have to earn a profit. It's not a foregone conclusion, and whether or not this monopolist is earning a profit depends on their cost curves. So let's draw in that average total cost curve. Keep in mind that average total cost hits its minimum where it intersects marginal cost. So in this case, at 1,000 units, where price is $50, which we got on that last slide, and average total cost is $35, price is greater than average total cost, so the monopolist is making an economic profit. And that profit, again, is just the number of units they're selling multiplied by the average profit per unit. In this case, $1,000 units times $15 average profit per unit. So they are earning an economic profit of $15,000. But a monopolist is not guaranteed to make this economic profit. And again, to learn whether or not they are earning this profit, we have to know something about their average total cost. So again, set price where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. They produce 1,000 units of output at a price of $50 per unit. But in this case, what if they have very high average total costs? So in this case, at 1,000 units of output, their average total costs are $65. $65 is greater than $50. So in this case, they're earning a loss of $15,000. their loss per unit times the number of units, $15 times 1,000, they are earning an economic loss of $15,000. To bring this full circle and compare and contrast these two market structures, competitive markets with monopoly. Competitive markets have many firms as opposed to one firm. Competitive market produce at an efficient level of output. Monopolists produce less than efficient. And remember, when we're talking about efficiency, we're talking about in terms of economic welfare. So can we improve consumer surplus by increasing the amount of output? Monopolists produce at less than the efficient level since price is greater than marginal cost. Competitive markets, because there are few barriers to entry, do not earn long-run economic profits, but monopolists can. And note, we use the word may here because we saw they don't necessarily earn long-run economic profits, but they have the ability to. And the reason they have that ability is because of their market power. They are price makers, whereas competitive firms have no market power. They are price takers. So let's close this mini lecture with one last pause and think, which is, where does the profit maximizing monopolist set its price? Where demand is elastic, inelastic, or unit elastic. So this one's a little tricky, but think back to what we'd learned about elasticity of demand, and hopefully this will help you not only think about what conditions a monopolist is facing, but also will help you review for our upcoming final.